It would be nice to fall in love again when life gets tough. Do you run to the wrong things to numb the emotions? What is happening, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning in. This week I have noted down 3 things in my diary. The first thing is this week kicked my butt. There's a lot of things that, are happening. It kind of got to a point where I was feeling a little bit overwhelmed, and I found myself throughout the week just like feeling anxious for no reason. That made me think a lot about, fixing that. Like, what do I do to try to get in a better state? And because of the podcast, I have made it a habit to sit down every day and, try to analyze some of the things that are happening within my life. What is interesting? What idea did I find interesting? What, conversation did I have that made me rethink some of the things that I'm doing and stuff? And doing that, because I'm like, writing make me analyze stuff in a way that I didn't necessarily take the time to analyze. And I realized that it was because I sort of like have been trying to suppress the emotions that I should have allowed myself to feel. And it's not like I'm avoiding them, I'm avoiding doing those things intentionally. It's like me trying to get through the week, right? I'm just like avoiding doing those things because I say, okay, by the end of this week I'll find time and sit down, do all these things. It's not even like big things, but it's like, I don't know, a car needs to get fixed, I need to check on my brother, like stuff like that. Yeah, so I realized like that was the reason why that was happening, and that I needed to solve the things that were happening that I was avoiding, because at the end of the day I'm trying to avoid them because I want to focus on my work. I want to focus on the things that I'm doing. I don't want them to get in a way of the things that I'm trying to achieve during the week. But by avoiding those things, I'm feeling anxious, and feeling anxious is making me not perform well or at the level that I want to perform within those things that I'm trying to perform in. And there's a girl named Tiffany. She's a poet, I believe. She posts like detailed captions on Instagram, and on one of the posts that she made, I think it was like a letter to her future husband or something. She spoke about a lot of things, but she basically spoke about, do you go through hard stuff, and when you go through them, I hope you don't run to the wrong things to feel you. Something like that. And that resonated with me specifically this week, because part of avoiding feeling the emotions or taking care of responsibility that you need to take care of, part of that is like running to something that's going to numb the emotions, that's going to make you not feel all the pain that might be happening, right? It could be drinking, it could be anything that gives you pressure and takes you out of the reality of your life, of the pain that's happening within your life. And I think that's a very interesting idea. I think the idea of, instead of running to the wrong things, the things that are going to be bad for you, find a way to channel the negative energy into something that's going to end up having a positive effect on you. If I go to the gym, I try not to, put on music or I don't know, listen to a podcast or a book as I usually do. If I'm going through the emotions, if I'm going through hard stuff, if I'm feeling like I was feeling this week, I try to go without listening to anything and just like listen to myself, listen to how I'm feeling, allow myself to go through the shit, like to go through all the thoughts and feel them, allow myself to feel them. And whenever I've done that at the end of the session, I felt a lot better. Yeah, so I thought that was interesting. I thought that was an interesting way to look at what you do if life is difficult, because life is going to get rough, dude. And what you decide to do is what's going to determine if you're going to have a healthy life or not, right? Not what you do when life is good, it's what you do when life gets tough. Do you run to the wrong things to numb the emotions, or do you run to the things that are going to allow you to process the emotions, to feel the emotions, allow you to channel the energy, the negative energy that you're feeling into something that's going to end up being good for you. I'm not saying that I'm perfect at doing that. Sometimes I run to the wrong things. But even when I run to the wrong things, like drinking, for me at least, it's like drinking. Sometimes I numb the emotions by getting a glass of something alcoholic. And I find at least when I do it with another person, not by myself, it's better. Like, it's better sitting down and having a conversation with someone over a drink than sitting alone in my room and drinking a whole bottle of something. So I hope whenever you're feeling negative, whenever you're having a really shitty week, I hope you don't run to the wrong things to fill you. The second thing that I wrote down is let people know you give a fuck. This is a little bit connected to the first thing that I mentioned, which is, when you are going through, rough stuff, negative emotions and stuff, sometimes, at least for me, I find that that goes hand in hand with me avoiding to talk with people that I love, my family, my close friends. And I don't necessarily understand why. Maybe that's because I feel like I'm not, the version of myself that I want them to, interact with. And I think that is not the right way to look at it. I think in thinking about it, when I wrote this down, it was let people know you care about them, but especially when you're going through rough seasons, right? Not only when you're happy, not only when things are going well, because it's easy to tell someone you like them. It's easy to tell someone you appreciate them. It's easy to tell someone you love them when things are good, right? But I think it's especially important to remind people you love them, to remind people you appreciate them when stuff are rough, right? When you just had a fight, when you don't agree on something. Like, yeah, we don't agree on something, but I still appreciate you, right? And I know that it's a difficult thing to do, and I don't do it most of the time. But the reason why I wrote it down is because it's something that I want to get to a point where I can disagree with someone, where I can, go head to head with someone, or not be able to help the person in a way that I want to support them, but still remind them, hey, I'm not able to help you right now, but I love you. I appreciate you. Yeah, it's not easy, dude. It's difficult. You have to like be very, very open-minded and not tie your sense of self in winning an argument or winning stupid battles within relationships, but tie your sense of self or status or whatever in being a person who shows up for people, being a person who tells people you love them or appreciate them, especially when you're not in good terms with them. So that was the second thing that I wrote down. The third thing that I wrote down in my diary, by the way, is it would be nice to fall in love again. Okay, this is a little bit too personal, but that's what the podcast is meant to be. It's meant to be me discussing the stuff that I'm going through, the stuff that I'm thinking, during the week. And this is what I was thinking during the week, which is, okay, I've been in the United States for 2 years now. Okay, 2 years and a few months. And before I moved to the United States, I was in a relationship. Loved the person. She's amazing. Okay? But coming to the United States made us not to cut the story short, it did not work out. Okay? And I haven't been in a relationship since then. And the reason why I hadn't been in a relationship since then was because I focused on, one, figuring out life in the United States. There's a lot of things that I had to go through, learn the culture. There's a lot of things that I needed to figure out to be settled. But after that, I was sort of like, I need to. It's such a difficult conversation to have because I don't want necessarily to go into the details of like my life or whatever. But when you are in your 20s, you building yourself. There's a lot of areas of life that you have to build to be able to have a relationship with another person. Okay? And a big part of that, is, let's be frank, if you're a guy, you're gonna have to have some level of financial stability. And I focused my time, part of the 2 years, trying to build myself financially, trying to build my skills, trying to build my professional career life, right? Trying to figure out that part of my life. And I still have a long way to go. Like I have, stuff that I need to achieve before I can say, that I'm going to get in a serious relationship. And like I mentioned in one of my podcasts, I want to have a family. I want to build, a life with someone and have kids and everything. And that's going to take a lot of, building myself up to a point where I can be capable of raising a family. That's a big responsibility. Like there's a lot of things that go into that. There's a lot of things that go into getting to a point where you can be capable of raising a whole freaking person. And I've been focusing a lot on that. But when I was thinking about, this topic and the reason why I wrote it down and I found interesting to even talk about on the podcast was because I think that's one way to look at it, as in the idea of you have to build yourself up to a point where you can be capable of doing all these things. But I think an even better perspective to take is you're building a life with this person, right? And I think there's something beautiful about seeing someone through different seasons, right? So instead of saying you're going to focus on building yourself, you're going to focus on growing and get to a point where you can build a life with another person and then bring another person in this world. Excuse me. I think instead of looking at it like that, instead maybe allow yourself to build your life with someone else, right? What do I mean by that? I think allowing yourself and the other person to grow through those seasons. I think meeting someone when they don't have a strong sense of self, when they're not at a level of maturity that's needed to be a mother, right? And you are not at a point where you can be a father. Speaking as mature, the mindset and the skills or the knowledge that is needed for you to be a father and for her to be a mother, right? Meeting yourselves when you don't necessarily have the financial stability that's needed to, bring another person in this world or to be in a relationship with someone else. When I think meeting yourself when you're not ready, meeting another person when you're not ready is a more interesting way to look at it, because then you can help each other grow to a point where you're mature enough to commit to build a life together. But also, if you meet someone and they're financially not stable and you see them hustle and build a business maybe, or learn, develop new skills and get a better job, and they were struggling in this way and now they you see them grow to a point where they can afford things they weren't necessarily able to afford, and get to a point where they can buy a house, and get to a point where they're ready to build a life, to build a family, to have a family of their own and provide for them and support them. And I think that's a more interesting approach to take. So instead of me saying, which I have been telling myself for a long time, I'm not going to date. I'm not going to be dating nobody until I figure out I hit certain goals that I want to hit. I think allowing myself to meet someone when I'm not perfect, when I'm not where I need to be, and seeing that as an opportunity to, for that person to help me through the stuff that I'm struggling with right now, and for me to help them through the stuff that they're going through now, and build each other up or see each other grow to a point where they can be a whole mother to someone. I can be a whole father to someone and take responsibilities that neither of us thought we could be able to take when we just met. I think that would be a beautiful thing. It would be far more interesting than meeting them meeting me when I'm at a point where like I don't have to learn anything. I mean, you're still going to learn shit. At least I want to continually grow. But like right now, I'm nowhere near to be a father to nobody. Okay? I'm not ready to be a husband to nobody. Okay? But I know, but I'm on that journey, right? I know things that I need to do. I know things that I need to work on as a person. I know things that I need to invest in. I know where I'm investing my time, and I know where that's going to lead. But I think it's interesting to have someone there when you're going through that journey and when they are going through their own journey. Yeah, that's why I wrote it down, and I think I'm going to allow myself to meet someone when I'm not perfect, because I'm never going to be perfect, and I think that's what's interesting. At least if you meet the right person, that does it. That's the last thing that I wanted to reflect on. I hope any of the things that I shared useful. 1 or 2 things would be enough. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.